everyone, and welcome to the 17th episode of Down the Hobbit Hole. My name is Emily, and today is Wednesday, July the 12th, 2017, and this is my weekly podcast about knitting and spinning and all things making. Today I'm joined by a butterfly who keeps landing on me. You'll probably see videos at the end of me just freaking out because a butterfly keeps landing on me. I'm not sure it's a butterfly. It's got a really crazy looking face, but it's kind of marked like a monarch, so maybe monarchs just have really terrifying demon faces, but whatever. Don't even care. I'm so happy at the moment. As usual, I am coming to you from East Tennessee, where I live with my husband, my fluffy dog Tesla, my pudgy cat Tiber, and our multitude of feathered friends. These are our laying hens in the background. Yeah, kind of off my game because of a butterfly, but that's okay. Yeah, so on to business. If you would like to find us online, you can find me on Instagram as MistyMountMakers, on Ravelry as MistyMountMakers, and you can find the Ravelry group under Down the Hobbit Hole in the Groups tab. And if for some reason neither of those work for you, you can always email me at emily@mistymountainmakers.com. And you can find all of our hand-dyed fibers and spinning bats at mistymountainmakers.com. And all that information will be down below. So you can always just find a link there. There's a butterfly. Yeah, before we get started today, I thought I'd do another update for the There and Back Again Cow, which I am hosting in our Ravelry group. And there will be a link to the chatter thread with all the information down below. But one of the things that we are tracking, along with knitting our favorite Tolkien-themed whatevers, we are tracking our mileage. So I have my Fitbit that I've been tracking with, and I have racked up since May the 7th, I've racked up 180.38 miles. So I went to the Eowyn challenge website, and it places me right at the western end of the Midgewater marshes. So that's actually pretty appropriate because the hobbits were getting bitten up by all the bugs in the marshes, and I happen to be covered in poison ivy. So kind of looks like I'm covered in bug bites. So, you know, solidarity. Me and the hobbits. We're good. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, that's where I am. My hope, I have about 60 miles until Weathertop. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. But even though I've been trying to get to more like 25 miles a week, I actually went down to where I'm getting like 16 to 19 a month, or a week. So I'm not sure what happened. I know that a couple of times my Fitbit has died because I haven't been charging it at night like I'm supposed to, and I've been taking it off a bit whenever we're doing yard work, or if I'm like doing the litter box and I have to put on gloves, or I'm doing any dyeing where I'm wearing gloves. It doesn't fit really well over the Fitbit. So yeah, I tend to take it off and then forget to put it back on. I don't think that's all of it, but it doesn't really, my workouts don't really, like when you're weightlifting, it doesn't really add to your mileage at all. So I need to try to get a little more active, but I'm going to have to do that early in the morning because I think it's noon right now, and it's in the high 80s here. So yeah, no running will be happening this late in the day, but we'll see. I'm going to try to up that and hit Weathertop by the end of the cal. Now the original end date was the 12th of August, but the more I look at it and think about it, ending it on a Saturday is probably not the best for people, since if you're out and about, you may not have a chance to post and it may slip your mind over the weekend. So just to make things easier, I moved it to the 15th. So that's going to be a Tuesday. So shouldn't be a problem for anyone as far as, you know, plans getting in the way. And that's also easier to remember than the 12th. So we'll end it there. And we've already got some entries over there. We've got 2 shawls, a cardigan, and some socks. But just as a reminder, if anybody's thinking of joining, whips are welcome. And I mean, if you want to knit a hat, if you want to knit a cowl, anything you want to knit, as long as you can tell me why it works for Lord of the Rings, then it works and you'll be entered into the drawing. You just have to get your photo in and explain what's going on there. So definitely check it out. And yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys are making. And you can also just kind of hang out in the chatter thread if you want to and just cheer people on. That's totally fine. We will have some smaller prizes for the chatter thread as well. So definitely check it out, take a look, see if you want to join in. I can't get over this. This is making me so happy. I tried to get him under my finger so I could bring him closer to the camera, but he was not pleased and went from my elbow up to my shoulder. He's been just kind of hanging out for a while. Anyways, I'll stop gushing about this butterfly. And now I think we can switch over to Tour de Fleece update. I have been spinning for Tour de Fleece. I'm taking part in Amy of the Stranded podcast, which if you haven't checked her out, you definitely should. She's doing a really relaxed kind of, it's not really a Tour de Fleece competition in any way, it's just people hanging out with no pressure whatsoever, and just spinning for Tour de Fleece, working on whatever projects they want to. And I am spinning 2 different items. So one of them I was planning before Tour de Fleece, and the other one I started on the day of Tour de Fleece, which I talked about more last week, but essentially I showed up at my Tour de Fleece kickoff trunk show with everything I needed to start spinning, except for the whirl for my spinning wheel. So luckily I had a drop spindle and plenty of bats to choose from, and I just snagged one of my bats, and I'm going to be making a shawl. So here's where I am with that so far, and I think I've spun over a ½ ounce, but not a full ounce yet. But here it is. Doesn't look much different from last time. The yarn is building up slowly but surely, so I'm hoping to get this filled up, wind it into a cake, and spin some more onto the bobbin, or onto the drop spindle. I probably will not get it finished in time for Tour de Fleece, but I'm trying not to put any pressure on myself so that I can just have fun and enjoy spinning rather than like ferociously spinning as fast as possible because I have a deadline and hating every minute of it. So this is the bat, and oh, my bamboo is getting jostled. So here's a portion of the bat, and this is about half of the bat. There we go. The total weight I think was 3.3 ounces, and it's merino wool, Falkland. There's a little bit of superwash merino and tencel in there. Lots of Tesla's got his nose up against the coop, and the girls are very interested and coming forward. I think Foghorn thinks she's going to be building a nest or something soon because she keeps trying to take my shirt through the grate and Tesla's fur. So we'll see what happens there. But they all seem very interested in each other today. Anyways, so a little bit of superwash merino and tencel, bamboo, lots of Firestar, and I think that's it. I've got the label somewhere. I did go into Ravelry and I started adding project pages for pretty much all of my projects. I'm missing photos for some of them, and but I am trying to keep all my notes in there because otherwise I won't remember what I've done, especially, well, so I'm keeping all my notes in there, and I realized, I didn't know before, that they have a hand-spun section. Like, if you go into your stash and you add yarn that you've spun, it creates another section for you for hand-spun, so you can just have a project page for that. I did not know that was an option, and I was very excited to find it. So I did one for the yarn that I spun for the Wool Needles Hands Spin for All 2017. That was a lot of fun. And so that has its own project page now. But I do want to make one for this bat and for the next one that I'm about to show you. So that one's going to be 2-plied into a shawl, and I'm probably going to ply it on my spinning wheel because I don't really enjoy plying with a drop spindle, but we'll see. I haven't quite decided. I may end up just grabbing one of my larger drop spindles in order to do that, but I'm not sure yet. The other one that I'm spinning, my butterfly. Oh my gosh, he came back. He came back. The other one that I'm spinning is this one. It's super bright. I don't know if you can see all of the fire star that's in it. I've got a 1/2 ounce of fire star in here. It's about 4.5 ounces total. It's mostly merino, 3.5 ounces, no, 3 ounces of merino, an ounce of nylon, and a 1/2 ounce of fire star. So it's very bright, very pretty. And here, it looks like I'm spinning gold. So here it is. It's so bright and reflective, and there's so much sparkle and shine. I feel like I may not be able to make socks out of this. I might have to make something else. I'm not sure yet. The plan was for socks. I did a fiber content that would be good for socks, but it may end up being something else. It's just so bright and pretty. I don't want to shove this into shoes. I wonder if I can pull off wearing a gigantic yellow shawl. I might have to try. But I spun about just over 1/2 ounce of this, and I'm not getting very far. And I'll go into, I had a couple days where I just didn't even spin at all. I was pretty busy with other things, but I'll talk about that in the not so nitty portion. But I'm really enjoying what I am spinning, and I've been separating them. So like since I am trying to spin so fine. Oh, butterfly's gone. I've started pulling them, pulling off strips, and just spinning these, and I have them all kind of wrapped up. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Butterfly. Okay. So that it's a lot easier, because when I'm trying to spin this fine, if I have a great big chunk of great big chunk of fiber that I'm trying to spin from, it gets a little annoying because oh, I fluffed my nose. It gets a little annoying because you'll have, say this is the piece of fiber, and you'll be spinning, and then it starts decreasing over here, but this stuff isn't getting pulled in, and then it ends up like getting stuck to the yarn that's already been drafted off. And I know I could just keep going back and forth, but when I'm trying to watch movies and things, it's kind of hard to keep track of that and the movie at the same time. And if I have to pay too much attention to the fiber, I end up pausing a lot and just watching movies. So this is working out better. I'm going to keep doing this. But yeah, I really, really like it. I'm so in love with the yellow. I mean, I like the purple. The purples and the pinks are nice. But that yellow is making me very happy, almost as happy as this butterfly that keeps coming back to me. He's poking me with his little proboscis. Oh my goodness. Probably disappointed. I don't know if it's the blue that's drawn him in, but I doubt this shirt's very tasty. So, that's where I am for Tour de Fleece, and I'll show you guys what I've been knitting. Bye-bye. See you in a few minutes. The other thing I've been working on are my Afterthought Everything Nargle socks. So here they are, and I am finished. This is where I was at the end of last week's episode, I think, or possibly the week before. But I am on to the green cuff. Oh my goodness. Hey buddy. So, here we are. Started that bright green. I am on the third row. So what I will be doing is, once I do the third row, I'll be doing a stripe of blue, then a stripe of green, no, a stripe of blue, and then a stripe of pink, and then 15 rows of 15 rows of green, and I'll end it with like a surprisingly stretchy bind off or something like that. I will say this gauge is way too tight for me. Not way too tight. These are going to be very snug socks that I am hoping will ease up once they are off of here, toes and cuffs are, or toes and heels are in, and I start wearing them, and then they can stretch out and hopefully fit my feet. They are pretty snug. I wound up, instead of doing 15 inches of stockinette stitch, I chose to do 12 because I don't think the cuff would fit much higher. Like, it'll fit on my ankle and it'll fit a little above. Ooh! That was Bacall. She is sneezing. Not sure what that's about. She sounds like a little raptor. So yeah, if I had gone with 15 inches, it would have put it at like an awkward height on my leg, and since the cuff is so tight, it probably wouldn't fit on my calf, so it's best to just make them little shorty ankle socks. So that's the plan. Once I get the cuff done, I'll separate and do the toes first, and then I'll do heels after that. So I'm really excited. This is coming together really well. Not a big fan. I'm using Knit Picks needles. I got them for free from a lovely lady at my spinning guild. It was really, really nice of her to give them to me. But I think I can see why she was not a big fan of them. I had another set that I was using to try to do the ornament along for a homespun house, and the cord just popped out. So the joins aren't very good on these, and the joins aren't very good on these, but they are working, and they haven't popped out on this set yet. So hopefully I'll be able to make it through the socks and get through just fine. I am doing 56 stitches on 2.25 millimeter US size ones, so I know for next time that I either need to go up a needle size or I need to cast on more stitches. So we'll see how I like the fabric density on this. They are pretty dense, so I might choose to go up a needle size so that I have a little more space, but I'm not sure. I also need to figure out the needles that I like using, because I think the gauge when I first started, I was using double pointed needles, and so you can see the gauge was much wider and then tightened up when I switched to doing magic loop. Oh, I don't know where the butterfly went, and I don't want to squish him. He probably flew away. Oh, there he is. Okay. So, yeah, I think that it'll look, I think these would look really nice, even though they're a bit tight. Hopefully they'll work out and they'll fit my feet. I might just really aggressively block them, and I'll probably just keep shoving my feet into them even if they don't fit very well. Just because I'm finishing them, they're gonna fit one way or another. And this is, this is my Nargles colorway on my halfling base with blue, pink, and green minis. I dyed up some 10-gram minis to make, there we go, to make sets for this, and I'm really liking it. These will hopefully be coming around soon. I just want to finish the sample before I start these sets. Alright, and the final thing I've been working on is my Traveling Woman shawl, which, as I said, I have not finished. This is a pattern by Kelly Van Nykirk, and, Van Nydrick? I don't actually have the pattern on me, it's inside right now. So we're gonna go with that, and if I am wrong, which I am probably wrong, I will put it on the screen so that you guys can actually find her. I think the pattern's like $6, totally worth it. Oh, and now I am at the end of the row, so I can show you. I am in the final chart. So here we go. I took it with me. I took this with me when Tim was going to work on his car, and we were doing that. They have a lift where he works, so he was able to just boost the car up on Saturday and work on it, and I took this with me, and I'd memorized the pattern repeat, like the repeatable part of the pattern repeat, but not the edge stitches on either end. So I figured if anybody's looking that close and they're gonna make a fuss over a shawl that I made for myself, I'm not too worried if they're upset by it, because the stitches probably aren't quite right, but they look right enough, and I'm not gonna look that close. I doubt anybody else is too. So I just went ahead and fudged it, but I didn't have the pattern to keep going. So this is where I was last week. And I think I forgot to mention, there we go. So I'm just starting the final chart. And so I think that means I have about 20 rows left. I forgot to mention last week, I think, unless I already mentioned it. I got a little carried away with the increases here in this stockinette section. So I went past where I was supposed to stop, and I had to look at the pattern because she's really, really good about telling you after every row or every other row how many stitches you should have, so you can count and see where you're supposed to be. This pattern doesn't really need a lot of counting, but if you make a mistake, it's really good to be able to go back and check and see where you might have messed up. So I looked ahead at what the number of stitches should be at the end of the first repeat of the first chart, and just increased until I had that many stitches. So it was originally going to be the exact same number of stitches. Tesla. Come on. It was originally going to be the exact same number of stitches as my Traveling Woman shawl in fingering weight. Fluff. Come here. Oh. Hello. Oh. That's the spot. That's the spot. Oh yes. Go lay down. So the sweatshirt was originally supposed to be the exact same number of stitches and rose and everything as my other fingering weight version, which was going to be cool because I could see I could see how much bigger the shawl was compared to the other one when they are the exact same pattern, just different needle size and yarn weight. But this is fine too. It's going to be so big and cozy. It's already, without blocking, pretty big, and this is going to be huge when it's done. I'm so excited for it. Not that I'll be able to wear it for a while, but I'm really enjoying working on it, and I cannot wait to have this finished. And this is, I'm using US size 7 Knitter's Pride's, the shorts. I think these are Dreams in color. They're the shorts, so you can use them with 16-inch cables to make hats and things. Down. Oh, good boy. So, US size 7, so that's a 4.5 millimeter needle, and I'm using my yarn. This is MistyMountMakers. It used to be called the Megaskein DK, but I am reintroducing this in a merino base. This is Polworth, but this was discontinued, so we're going to have basically the same yarn but in merino with a new name and everything. I've already started dyeing it and started to try to replicate this yarn, so we'll be having those up soon. But yeah, it's so squishy and nice. Oh, I can't wait. And I'll have a ton left over, so I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of it. I was thinking of trying to do, I want to do some brioche, 2-color brioche, and that's been going, a lot of people have been getting into 2-color brioche, and I've been resisting, and now I have to do it. It needs to happen. So I'm thinking I might take some of the merino and might take some of this and dye just part of it to have some black accents on it. I'm not sure if it's going to be speckles or splotches or like how much black is going to be added to it. And then I want to take some of the merino and leave it mostly natural, but with blue and black splotches on it, so that I can change the colors as I'm going through and make either a colorwork or a 2-color brioche hat or cowl or something simple so I can get the hang of it. I think I know which shawl I want to cast on, but we'll see. I'm going to do some brioche first and see if it's still something I want to continue with. And one last thing that I have for fiber related items. Now it's a finished object you guys have seen before, and I actually still haven't snipped off all the ends, but I did finish blocking my mama vertebrae, and I think it's part of the pattern, but I'm not too happy with how, like, the sleeve where the ribbing is fits just fine, but up here it feels like there's almost too much room, like the armpit's baggy. So, like, it has all this extra space, and I'm not sure if I just should have gone down a size, but then I feel like the arm wouldn't have fit well. Like, I'm not sure what I did. I know Tanya's finished. Tanya from the Hooked on Ink Blobs podcast. She has finished more than one of these. And she mentioned she had some trouble with the way that the neckline was sitting. And I feel like it wants to be like out here, but I want it to kind of sit more snugly on my neck. I feel like it's going to fall off my arms. But I think I just made maybe the wrong size. Like, if I tweak the increases, but chances are I'm not going to I don't think I'm going to redo this unless I do this the way that Tanya did her second version, where she actually knit the neckband into it. But I think I'd rather, I don't think this is one I'm going to knit again. I like the pattern. It's really simple, really straightforward. It's a good mindless knit for getting something, for getting a nice sweater made without too much fuss. The pattern is really well written. You kind of have to make sure to go in and highlight your size throughout, because there are conversions made and you figure out which numbers you need to follow along with. And sometimes by the time you get done with the body, it's hard to remember what size you were, especially if you take a big break from it like I did. But yeah, it's nothing to do, I don't think it's anything to do with the pattern. I think it's just, for me, the way that it was meant to fit wasn't as comfortable for me, and I'm not sure if it was, because I didn't really check my gauge or anything like that, so I'm sure it's something I did. Just doesn't, it's not comfortable. It'll make a great shop sample though, showing off the Sun Fingers colorway. So it looks really nice. I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't quite feel right on me. So I need to get my button gear and take a gauge class before I make another sweater. Yeah. I think that would be very useful. I think that's all we have for knitting and spinning and fiber content this week. So if that's all you're here for, that's totally fine. Thank you so much for tuning in with me this week, and if this was your first time, I hope you liked it. Next week, I will be recording on Monday instead of Wednesday, since my mom will be coming into town on Tuesday, so we'll have an episode a little earlier than normal, and yeah, I guess I'll see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in. And for everyone else, we'll move on to a really brief shop update, and then on to the not so nitty portion. So we will be having a shop update next Tuesday. I'll get everything ready for the shop update before my mom gets here, and then I'll just have a timer ready so I can run over to the computer and get it uploaded. So that'll be on Tuesday, July the 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern. So that's when we'll have that update. I'll show the items we'll be putting up next week on that episode. For anyone who is interested, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, which will be July the 21st, we will be doing a dye demo over at Hook and Needle. So I'll be dyeing up some skeins of My Beating Heart, and I'll have a couple of others to show off, and that'll be from 6 to 7 when I'll be doing the actual dyeing, and then I'll probably just be hanging out until shop closes. So definitely come and hang out if you're in the Maryville, Knoxville, East Tennessee area and you want to drive out and say hi. It should be a lot of fun. The spinning day to kick off Tour de Fleece was awesome. And this one will be on a Thursday night when they have kind of the sit-in knits. So there'll be plenty of seats, plenty of people there to hang out with, and it should be a good time all around. So definitely come see us next week on Thursday from 6 to 7 at Hook and Needle. On to the Not So Nitty. So this week we had a lot of fun. We did a bunch of yard work, which I know doesn't sound like fun, but it actually is a relief to get that out of the way, because we had a lot of things that, like I had a pile of mulch that we chipped from sticks on the property from when we did some clearing last fall, and I finally got them moved onto the blueberries, which involved a bunch of weeding, but it looks really nice over there now. It's behind a bunch of other sticks that we need to get rid of, but not the point. We're going to try this weekend to chop up the cedar, and I told my mom that she'd be coming up to do some yard work. So I might ask Tim to chop up the tree, and then my mom and I can, in little bursts, grab some of the logs and the branches and drag them over to the burn pile. We're going to have two, since we have two big piles of sticks from last year. So we're going to try and get that done this week. We spent some time Saturday morning working on Tim's car, and that was nice for me. I got a lot of knitting in. I helped where I could, but it was really a one-man job. So yeah, we did that, and then we went over to a friend's house. They had a bunch of pears from their tree, and they're pears in various sizes, and this is one of the larger ones that we got. They're all, oh my gosh, they're all so tiny. They're very delicious, and I spent Monday peeling and dicing and preparing the pears to make spiced pear pie filling, and that was a whole lot of work. That was a whole lot of work for about a pie and a half of filling, but it's very, very good. They're also small, so by the time you're done peeling and removing the core and dicing everything up, and then you cook it, it winds up being a lot less than you expected. But the girls really like them. I don't know if you can see them kind of going crazy for those pears. So we did a lot of that, and that was pretty much all of Monday, was just preserving those, or getting that ready, because I have it in the freezer for when my mom comes to town. Made a bunch of salsa. Tesla, go lay down. Doof. And I have a ton of salsa in the fridge. On Tuesday, yesterday, I was a bit under the weather, so I just did some light dyeing. Wasn't anything sick or anything like that, just not feeling a little run down. So I got, get off of there. Tesla wants in. I'll be right back. So lots of food preservation lately, just trying to make sure that we don't have anything going to waste. We have just tons of tomatoes and tons of pears, and I think that's about it. We've already blanched all of the peanut beans that we got from my neighbor, and that's most of what I'm growing in the garden are herbs and potatoes, and the potatoes aren't ready for harvest, and the herbs don't really need preserving because we're just using them as they grow. So it's a good practice, or it's good practice for next year, because I think we're going to be swamped next year when I get the garden, when I do better with the garden and we have more stuff growing. That is one disappointing thing about gardening, is kind of if you mess up, you have to wait a year before you can try again, but that'll be okay. We'll know better for next year, and I'll do a better job. We have two pear trees of our own that we're going to get planted. One's a Moonglow and one's a Bartlett. I think that's pretty much everything we've got to talk about. Lots of little things going on. Or lots of not so significant things that take up a significant amount of time going on. I think that's more accurate. But we've been having a good time. It feels really good to get a nice grip on the property this year. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Don't forget that's going to be on Monday, which if you're subscribed, you're going to go ahead and get that notification anyways. So it probably doesn't make a big difference to you. But we'll be recording on Monday. Hopefully I'll have it up that Monday night. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys then. If you enjoyed the episode, definitely, give it a thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't already. If you're a new viewer, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you like it. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. It's so nice seeing you guys come back week after week. So thank you. And I will see you guys on Monday. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Happy making. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Ah. Hello! Oh my gosh. I feel like a princess. Yeah, I feel like a Disney princess at the moment. Somebody disagrees, but this butterfly does not. Hello! Are you actually a butterfly? You have a crazy looking face. I'm gonna keep my cool. We'll just go ahead and do this.